Have a good day. On this video, you will learn on how to estimate the square root to the nearest hundred. And the following are the steps or the procedures on how we estimate the square root to the nearest hundred. So the first one, you have to find between what consecutive integers does the given number lies. Then, find the difference between the given number and the lower perfect square. Find the difference between the greater perfect square and the lower perfect square. Then the fourth one, we will write the difference as a ratio or as a fraction. Then, we have to convert the fraction to decimal. We will combine the whole number and decimal. And lastly, we can now round it off to the nearest hundred. So these are the steps or the procedures on how we estimate the square root to the nearest hundred. So we will apply the following steps on this example. Let us estimate the square root of 38 to the nearest hundred. So our step number 1 is we have to find what consecutive integers does square root of 38 lies. Okay, so in getting these two consecutive integers, so we have to think of two consecutive perfect squares that is lesser than 38 and also greater than 38. So what are these two consecutive perfect squares that is less than 38 and greater than 38? So we can have here 36 and 49. So this two perfect squares or two consecutive perfect squares that is less than 38, so which is 36, and greater than 38, which is 49. So in getting these two consecutive integers, so we have to extract the principal root of these two perfect squares. So we have to get the square root of 36 and the square root of 49. So therefore, the square root of 36, so we have here 6, and the square root of 49, we have here 7. So therefore, in having this part, or for our step number 1, the whole number part of our answer by estimating the square root of 38 is 6. Okay, so let us skip this. So 6 yung whole number ng ating magiging sagot. Okay, for step number 2, we have to get the difference of the lower perfect square and the given number. So i-minus po natin yung given number, which is 38, by the lower perfect square, which is 36. So therefore, 38 minus 36 will give us 2. Okay? For step number 3, we have to get the difference of the greater perfect square and the lower perfect square. So, i-minus po natin yung lower perfect square sa greater perfect square. So, therefore, 49 as our greater perfect square minus the lower perfect square, which is 36, is equal to 13. Okay? So, that is for step number 3. For step number 4, we will write, okay, the difference into a ratio or as a fraction. So, the answers that we've obtained from step number 2, which is 2, and in step number 3, which is 13, we will write this as a fraction. So, in writing this as a fraction, we have here 2 all over 13. Okay? So, this 2 over 13 in step number 5, we will write this, or we will convert this into decimal. So, in converting fraction to decimal, so simple lang po, we have to divide the numerator by the denominator. So, the numerator will be the divisor, which is inside the sign. And then, our divisor, our denominator will be the divisor, which is written outside our symbol or outside our sign. So, 2, or we are now dividing 1 digit by 2 digits. So, since hindi po siya pwede, we have to add here 0. Ang whole number po, ang decimal point niyan ay nasa dulo. So, adding 0, we have now here 20. So, you have here 20 divides 13 will give us 1. Then, 1 multiplied by 13 will give us 13. So, 20 minus 13 will give us 7. So, again, we have to add here 0, bring down 0. So, that's why we have here 70. So, 70 divides 13 will give us 5. 5 multiplied by 13 will give us 65. So, 70 minus 65 will give us 5. Okay? So one more, let us add 0. So bring down 0. So we have now here 50 divides 13 will give us 3. So 3 multiplied by 13 will give us 39. So 50 minus 39 will give us 11. So pwede na tayong mag-stop dito since tatlo na po yung ating digits after the decimal point. So ang pinakamataas na po nating place value dyan, or our last place value of our digit after the decimal point na po is thousands. Okay, so hanggang tatlo pong decimal point, pwede na po iyan. Since we will estimate the square root of 38 to the nearest hundredth only. So at least, meron na tayo, makikita na natin whether we have to round it up or we have to round it down. So that is for step number 5. We already convert this fraction into decimal. So for step number 6, we are to combine the whole number and the decimal. So yung whole number po na nakuha natin kanina dito kay step number 1. So we have here 6. And the decimal na nakuha po natin kay step number 5. So i-combine po natin sila. So by combining the whole number and the decimal, we have here 6.153. Okay? For step number 7, we have to round it off now to the nearest hundred. Okay? So since our decimal number on the right side of the decimal place value, which is 100, is 3. So meaning we will still or maintain this 6.15. So hindi po natin siya i-round up since ang number po na nasa right side niya is less than 5. So therefore, the estimated value of the square root of 38 to the nearest hundred is 6.15. So again, this is the steps or the procedures on how we estimate the square root to the nearest hundred. So I hope that you learned something from this video, and thank you for listening.